Good morning. I'd like to call this budget message meeting to order. Everyone like to please stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. This is just basically a tentative budget. It's the 2021 budget message. I think that we can proceed with the reading of it. Mr. Jeffers?
I believe Mr. Jeffers is going to give the message? No? No. Very good. I'll let you do it. 2020 Lackawanna County budget funding accomplishments. As the calendar year changed in January 2020, new era in county government standards, individuals took the reins, focused on charting a brighter future for residents and municipalities alike. Their unified mission was simple: improve the economic landscape through new and innovative programs that would spur growth and keep the best and brightest here. Along with the new board, something else came to town that had a significant impact on the community: COVID-19. The pandemic brought everyday life as we knew it to a grinding halt. Lackawanna County met the virus head-on. A plan was put into action to safeguard the general public and its employees. Operations at the Government Center never stopped. However, they were handled in a different manner. The county was ahead of the curve in keeping its doors open. In early March, a significant number of laptops were ordered to enable staff to work at home. Pallets of sanitizer, masks, and other PPE supplies were purchased to make sure that all buildings were spotless, protecting essential workers who were on site. Supplies were also distributed to first responders and law enforcement personnel. Various declarations of emergency with the county and courthouse were issued. Drop boxes for row offices and various departments were stationed in the facility's vestibule for people to continue to do filings, paying taxes, and securing their legal documents. Plexiglass was installed in several locations in offices system-wide to serve the public. The courts wired several courtrooms with video equipment in an effort to hold trials in a safe environment. Evidence sharing software was also purchased to further cut down on bringing large groups of people to public settings. Off-site jury selection was also done. Recognizing the financial strain of the pandemic put on residents, the commissioners waived the penalty fees for the county property and library taxes if they are paid in full by the close of business December 31st, 2020. While the health and safety are major concerns, the county did conduct normal business of major significance. 2020 General Obligation Bond Series A covering 2016 and 2018 borrowings were refinanced without lengthening the term, saving the county $5.8 million. In addition, the 2020 General Obligation Series Bond B bonds were refunded 2020 10 bonds, saving an additional $1.2 million. The savings generated were done without lengthening any terms. The county again used the same formula with the refinancing of the General Obligation Note Series C of 2020, saving an additional $177,000. Another tough decision was made early on to raise taxes 6.5 mils to put the House back on solid financial ground. The revenue generated was used to bolster a weakened pension fund and to cover the deficit without depleting the fund balance. Economic development has always been a county hallmark. Now it matters more than ever with the uncertainty caused by COVID-19. A 2,500 business relief program was established to provide seed money to firms that were either shut down or had to scale back operations. Another county staple, the Community Reinvest Program, provided organizations and municipalities with much needed last mile funding. 21 grants totaling $104,186 were awarded to fund worthwhile community ventures. Other business development initiatives, CDBG funds, and CARES Act resources were utilized to breathe life into our local economy. Human services remained the focal point of our mission to assist the elderly, families, and the youth. Hopelessness continues to be and was a major issue both during the pandemic and in general. The department helped provide shelter and food assistance through grant resources. With individuals losing their jobs, paying rent and/or a mortgage was difficult. A rent mortgage relief program was established to help elderly individuals and families to either pay their landlords or pay their home mortgage. An advertising campaign was developed and various agencies were enlisted to provide help with completing this application. The Area Agency on Aging developed a new tiered senior center arrangement to provide a greater variety of activities. Safety for the residents in all our communities is vitally important. To that end, our 911 Emergency Services Center continued to upgrade communication systems and lines. The District Attorney's Office entered into an agreement with the University of Pittsburgh for training and stocking EMTs and other personnel with Narcan to fight overdoses. Protecting individuals on the front lines was accomplished through grants for new bulletproof vests and body cameras. The prison has also undergone a number of operational security and prison services changes to improve the overall management chain of command. The prison was restructured to address two key issues: security and treatment for inmates suffering with substance abuse and or mental health issues. The significant changes at the prison were all budget neutral. Direct physical mail for the inmates has been reduced to scanning to eliminating contraband entering the facility and getting to the prisoners. Contact visits have also been limited for the same reason. Sheriffs will be incorporated into the front area as an extra layer of coverage, surveillance, and control to protect our employees and to provide an overall safer environment. In addition, inmates now have access to tablets to use for researching legal information, studying for a GED, reviewing tutorials, and reading mail. Not only do the tablets allow the prison to run more efficiently, and as previously stated, reduce the risk of contraband entering the facility, they also generate additional revenue for the prison. An RFP for medical treatment was advertised for the purpose of providing inmates as comprehensive a care program as possible. The commitment to upgrade the county's roads contained various paving projects, as well as several bridges being constructed, upgraded, sent for design, or replaced. Other improvement projects focused on new sidewalks, lighting, and retaining walls in various communities. The county also entered into agreement with the city of Scranton to collect its property and real estate taxes through the Tax Claim Bureau, receiving a 5% on each lien collected. A virtual marketing campaign was launched to encourage people to shop local to help out small businesses in these unsettling times. Our debt position. The county has been able to mitigate its annual expenditures for debt service by taking advantage of favorable interest rates. The savings from the refinancings of 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 allowed the county, without extending the maturity of any of the refinanced bonds, to maintain its annual debt service in a manageable range. The county will continue to be diligent when seeking further opportunities to reconstruct its long-term debt. Financial policies of Lackawanna County for 2021. In 2021, the administration will again be conservative and demonstrate fiscal responsibility, restraint, and management when addressing the county's financial challenges. The administration will continue its commitment to addressing the constant challenges facing county government on numerous fronts, especially in the area of its workforce. Personnel-related expenses, salaries, wages, and health care comprise 62.31% of the county's general fund budget, net of tax transfers out. Important features of the budget. The 2021 general fund budget includes no property tax increase. Many man-hours went into this preparation of the county's 2021 fiscal blueprint. Its goal is service to approximately 210,000 residents. The budget also reflects no cuts in programs that our communities and people rely upon. The budget also contains provisions for our parks, human services programs, aging initiatives, environment, and spraying for gypsy moths and black flies, while also monitoring for various other viruses. We continue to meet the challenges of an ever-changing society by doing more with less in a fiscally responsible manner. Public input is vital to the budget process and the final approved fiscal blueprint. The budget hearings are the perfect venue for the public to provide the commissioners with ideas that they can review and implement where possible to help cut expenses further, generate additional revenue, and move resources to other areas. Residents can attend the public hearings, but space is limited. We submit questions and suggestions to the open meetings at lackawannacounty.org. The cost to run county government and its various programs is substantial. A prime example is the prison. A great deal of revenue is expended for staff, programs, medical treatment, supplies, and other services. This is part of our mission, and we will continue to do so as efficiently as possible. Reasons for major financial policy expenditures and revenue changes for 2020 from the 2020 budget. Due to continued pressure from shrinking federal and state funding, collectively bargaining wage and benefit increases, and rising law enforcement costs, the county's 2021 budget will exceed the 2020 budget. During 2020, the county was able to capitalize on a significant surplus in its debt service fund. Since the county depleted the debt service fund surplus, the county will need to transfer additional funds from the general fund to the debt service fund for 2021. As previously noted, the Human Services area continues to be the main priority of the programs offered by the county government. In addition to that, sector emergency response, support system, and other vital functions will comprise the majority of the county's 2021 expenditures. Budget overviews. 2021 general fund budget totals $138,188,930. The 2021 capital budget totals $2,525,000. The 2021 debt service budget totals $20,503,513, and the 2021 special purpose funds budget totals $59,235,224. This budget message is respectfully submitted on this 15th day of October 2020 pursuant to Section 1.12-1203 of the Lackawanna County Home Rule Charter. Mr. Notarianni, Attorney Domenick, and Mr. Chermak.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. The budget hearings on the 19th of October at 10 o'clock, we will be doing it virtually. And then we will have three other ones. October 20th at 2 o'clock in Carbondale City Hall. October 22nd at 3 o'clock in the Dunmore Community Center. And October 27th at 2 o'clock in the Dickson City Borough Building. Public's invited to view this live streaming, or they can attend if, the space will be limited. Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions they'd like to ask us or Mary Jo Granaham, who is the Budget Director, or CFO Tom Durkin? You can go right ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Joan Hodawan, city resident. First, before you go any further, are all future meetings going to be open to the public, or is this a one-time event?
Joan, if you could answer that, you win the prize. I have no idea. As it stands today, that's what's going to happen.
Okay. I saw on your last page the county's 2021 budget will exceed the 2020 budget. By how much?
It's approximately $5 million.
$5 million. And how will that revenue be generated generally?
Well, it's our source.
You're not increasing property taxes, so are there more property owners? I mean, where's the revenue going to come from?
The fact is, Joan, that there are some additional revenues that we've included in the budget, but the budget anticipates a deficit of $2.3 million, I believe, Mary Jo. So the current budget anticipates utilizing our fund balance in the amount of about $2.3 million.
Okay. But it exceeds last year's, or this current year's budget by it exceeds the current year's budget by $5 million.
The expenditures in the 21 budget exceed the 20 budget by about $5 million.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll reserve my other questions on the budget once I have a chance to look at the document. But I am curious about one thing. The laptops in the prison producing additional revenue. Do you have a general idea of how much they're generating?
So far, we implemented, I think it was in June or July of this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting about $5,000 a month.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Questions from the press?
I have a couple. Should I stand?
Yeah, please, sir.
Just a few things in general, guys. I'm wondering if maybe Mary Jo or the commissioners can kind of characterize how the pandemic impacted revenues. I know a lot of the county's budget comes from property tax revenues, which my understanding is were some of the more stable tax revenues to come in during the pandemic. But can you guys speak to how the pandemic may have impacted this budget? It doesn't seem like it had a crippling effect on it.
No, I can take that. From and again, as you said, property taxes are a principal source of revenue. We're anticipating, when we budgeted 2020 revenue, we budgeted with a 91.13% anticipated collection rate. We don't know, and this is a little different because of the pandemic. We've extended the final face value payment date from June 30th to December 31st. Because of that, we have considerably less taxes collected as of right now than I think we would have if we hadn't extended that date. However, we fully expect to collect the full levy at the 91.13% collection rate. The real impact, or the most notable impact, is in revenue derived in the county row offices like the clerk of judicial records, the recorder of deeds, register of wills. Those revenues early in the year were down significantly because people were just sheltering at home, and so those offices suffered to some extent. They're recovering now, and so the revenues now are more typical to other years than earlier this year. We don't expect that we're going to be able to reach the revenues in many of those offices that we would have if there was no pandemic. But we have saved considerable sums of money on things like office supplies and stuff because a lot of people are working from home, and so we anticipate essentially that the pandemic won't have any significant effect on us, is what the reality is. From a dollars and cents point of view, it's changed everybody's life, we all know that, but from a dollars and cents point of view, it really doesn't have any significant impact. Again, there's some things that are up, some things that are down, but overall it's
more or less
not
offsetting.
Significantly impacted.
Just two more. I did notice the budget includes $3.87 million for the pension fund. I think that's what the county contributed this year. I know that was a major driver behind the tax increase in January.
Right.
And it comes after years where the pension fund was largely neglected. So I'm wondering if you guys could speak to that, why you think it's important to include that almost $4 million pension payment this year. I'm sorry, Jerry, and just what if you guys know the minimum obligation this year.
That was the minimum obligation that was required last year. Mm-hmm. So we budgeted that at this point. Nothing was paid during the course of the previous 4 years prior to this administration. That was a driving force. It has an effect on our bond rating if we don't fund the pension properly. It has an effect on our ability to provide the necessary services that to help the county be able to be fiscally responsible. We don't want to end up in a position like so many other government agencies are in currently. It would not get better. And the answer that the market was doing well, so therefore we don't have to pay it was not true. And the continuing drain on this administration is this particular building. This is it's something that is extremely painful, and that's something that day before yesterday, actually, the clerk of judicial records office was flooded. It's just we don't know where some of these things are going to. We have this building, we have to deal with it, but there's always we have no options. We have to fix it, and we have to keep going forward.
If you guys want to speak to pension, that's fine.
If I may, excuse me. The ARC payment for this year was about $4.2 million. So for 2020, we were a little short, but as the commissioner said, that was based on 2019 ARC, and that's what we based the 20 ARC on. And again, we were a little short with not knowing. The the same number that we paid last year into the pension is what is budgeted this year, because again, we're committed, and the Board of Commissioners is committed to properly funding the pension. And since we actually had a tax increase to accommodate that for 2020, we certainly thought it was very important to maintain that level of funding.
I do wonder, just in response to what Commissioner Notarianni said, are those additional costs stemming from the move to this building, whether it's sheriff's overtime, whether it's maintenance costs, whether it's, I mean, are those manifest in the budget somewhere? Are there line items that are now more expensive than they were when you guys were in Adams Avenue? Is that something reflected in the spending plan?
There are, and there's frankly some savings that we've recognized in this building versus Adams Avenue, like our electric bills are a little bit less. But yeah, they're all reflected throughout the various departments in the budget, where most of the utility bills and the maintenance expenses for this building are included in the maintenance department. But yeah, they reflect amounts that we think are appropriate, and we're still learning. This is only the second year we've been in the building, so we don't know if, I mean, we're able to identify how many maintenance agreements we have to pay for this building, but we don't know what the next thing to break is. As Commissioner Notarianni said, this week we had the entire Clerk of Judicial Records office flooded horribly, to the point where they couldn't even work in the office. They had to go home to work. And I'm not blaming that on anybody or anything. It's just those are the things that seem to pop up all the time, and we're dealing with them as they occur.
And the last thing for the three of you, is this a budget at this point you guys think you could support?
As it stands, I think I can. I think we'll have the hearings, we'll listen to see what, hear what people have to say, and there may be some adjustments, but we have the time to do that. This is, again, the tentative budget, and I'm willing to keep an open mind about it and move forward. But as the budget message says, a lot of time was spent by our fiscal administration, and they do a good job, and I'm pretty comfortable with the way it is at this point. But we'll go forward and we'll talk about it more.
Chris, Debbie?
For the most part, but I do believe that there are some changes, reductions that still need to be made.
Any particular areas?
I'd rather not get into the specifics, but I think that there are certain things that we can reduce in order to try to chip away at our deficit that we are in the process of doing.
Yep, I agree. We're looking it over line by line, and we'll see where we can save, what we can do. So, getting this initial one out was important, and we'll take it from here and see how this goes. So we're going to do the best we can for the residents of the county.
And you guys, I assume, would hope to close that $2.3 million operating shortfall as much as possible to avoid shrinking the surplus. That would be the goal.
That would be a great goal. So
That would be a good goal.
Thanks. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Okay, then we'll call this to adjourn.